Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Latino World Travelers Virtual Travel Party. Today we have with us Kim, and she's going to introduce us to Puerto Rico. We are so grateful you're here, Kim. So tell us, where are you from? When did you go to Puerto Rico? Where was the picture taken? We want to know everything about Puerto Rico. She's going to tell us specifically more about art and music, and I'm really looking forward to this. So I'm about to connect her. Yes. Can you see me now?
Yes. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so hi guys. I am Kim. I am from New York, from Manhattan. I am half Dominican, half Puerto Rican, so that's also why I know a lot about Puerto Rico and have visited a whole bunch of times. So to get started, I have that picture. So I actually traveled to Puerto Rico in 2018. And so that picture was actually taken in Rio Piedras, in a place called Caparra Terrace. And so essentially that place is like it looks like a big gazebo. So you kind of drive up through the mountains, and once you get to the gazebo, it overlooks the town, and it's actually really, really beautiful.
Sorry. Can you accept the Instagram? It's saying you didn't accept it, I guess. It's not showing you on Instagram. Sorry. Maybe request it again or something. Sorry.
All right, I
go live. Okay, it says waiting. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. Okay, is that good?
Okay, now it's working, yes.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so basically you drive up through the mountains, and you kind of get to like this area that looks like a gazebo. It looked a little not in its best shape, just simply because of, Hurricane Maria, and the damage that had happened to that area, but it still was beautiful. You still were able to go on it, and it overlooks the town. So it's even on the side of it, actually, you're able to see kind of people that have made their houses there. It looks like on the side of a mountain. But the view is beautiful, and it's definitely highly recommended. It's not like a place that's like super infused with like a lot of culture there specifically, because it's just more of a small town. So in that way it has its own culture, but it's definitely worth going there.
And how far is it from San Juan?
It took us about, I would say, like maybe 20 minutes to get there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How long were you in Puerto Rico for?
I was there for 5 days.
And tell us more.
Yeah, so throughout those 5 days, we essentially traveled a whole bunch. So the first thing I would say about Puerto Rico is that it is very similar to the United States in some ways, similar to like, let's say, New York. But I would say that you do need a car to travel around. Transportation isn't the most reliable, and especially at the time that I went, there was a lot of stuff happening with like traffic lights, and the grid wasn't fully up yet. So because of the hurricane. So essentially a lot of the stoplights, and even to get on the highways and stuff, it was more of a stop sign rather than like the actual traffic lights. But we managed, we were completely fine. And so that was a pretty interesting experience. But essentially we, were in the car. We actually stayed in San Juan. There's a place called Ocean Park, and Ocean Park is it was a community that was really filled with people that were local to the area, but it's actually now a lot of houses that are either empty or they're just Airbnb rentals. Okay. So yeah, so it's really nice. It's a gated community, so you essentially go in, and every single day you have to, kind of go through the gates and stuff. At any given point, you're only 2 blocks away from the beach, which is amazing. So like, you wake up and you can just go to the beach. They have a lot of different Airbnbs there, a lot of hotels there. But it's really close to everything that you need in San Juan. And San Juan is so close to everything else that it's just like super convenient to actually stay there.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
Mhm.
And you say that is also, we need to get a car when we go there because it's more convenient, but it's
Yeah,
easy to drive within the
yeah,
country.
yeah, yeah. Super easy to drive. It's just like here, just like the U.S., where it's like major highways, local streets, stop signs. It's all like really the same. So if you can drive anywhere else, you can definitely drive in Puerto Rico. The car rental company that we used was Enterprise. I think we ended up paying something like maybe $400. It wasn't like anything super expensive. And so essentially, we got the car, everything was fine, just as if you were to rent, a car from here, or from your local area.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up driving around a lot. We didn't stay in other places. We visited a lot of other places, but we always ended up
Mm-hmm.
going back to Ocean Park, just because that was the most convenient and the cheapest way, since we are staying, and paying for an Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
So in our time there, so obviously we were in San Juan, we visited San Dulce, we went to Rio Piedra, Rio Grande, Dorado, Bayamón. There's a specific area in San Juan that is kind of different, so I'm going to mention it because of that, but it's called Puerta de Tierra.
Okay.
And so essentially, and I can get to the story about that later on, but it's a really cool place to visit. And everything was very, very close to each other because we stayed more toward like the northeast sort of part of Puerto
Mm-hmm.
Rico. We didn't travel west at all.
Okay. And what is the story about Puerto de Tierra? I want to know.
Yeah, so Puerta de Tierra, the story is, so basically San Juan was like kind of like a huge area, and it still is, right? It's still pretty big. But Puerta de Tierra is a municipality of San Juan, but it used to be united by a door,
Mhm.
which was kind of, funky. And basically, like, obviously that door was taken out, the wall was taken out, and so it's just like a separate area now. So when people think of San Juan, they usually think of the really touristy part, Old San Juan. But there's more to it than that. Puerta Tierra is more of a small community. And from there, actually, you can see where the cruises dock, and you can
Mhm.
see like Old San Juan and all that stuff. But it is fairly different. Less touristy, more local people, more local culture. Um, a lot of local restaurants.
What was your favorite restaurant?
So I can't remember the name. There is one there. It's like a really old restaurant, and they even have actually, an interesting fact is that Corona, the actual beer, was Puerto Rican first. And so when it was,
Really?
yeah, so when it was Puerto Rican, they actually have the plaque of it there at that restaurant. And that restaurant, I feel like, was maybe a 10-minute drive from like Old San Juan directly. So it was like, all, once again, all super close. And they had like amazing food. I think I ended up eating some rice and chuleta that
Ooh,
they had there.
you're making me hungry now. Someone is asking, does Google Maps work well in PR?
Yes. So actually, a funny story is that I had a very ditzy moment when I was over there, and I was like really scared because I thought my phone wasn't gonna work. And I was like freaking out, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, how am I gonna contact my mom? But it literally works the exact same. So for a little bit, like, your phone would kind of read as if you're like actually internationally somewhere else, but then it kind of gets adjusted to the fact that it's in Puerto Rico and part of the United States, so that it's not charging you like roaming.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
And what
something,
phone company do you have?
Verizon.
Okay. Okay. So that's good. Mm-hmm.
So what I actually, a tip that I have for you guys is, everywhere I travel, I beforehand, when I am doing my research, I log into my Google Maps, and I actually save the places. So like, I'll start a list of where I want to go. And so, like, you know, if you click on a specific place, it says save, and then you can just save it under a list. And that works phenomenally, right? So like when you are somewhere where you can use Google Maps, or if you can like download it, once you're on Wi-Fi, you can just kind of go there and guide yourself through that.
Mm-hmm. That's a great tip. Thank you.
Yeah.
Someone is asking, how is PR when you went? Because I know it was devastated by the hurricane. And was there a lot of repair? Can you tell it was damaged? I know you spoke a little bit earlier about that, but can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So the purpose of my trip was essentially to kind of look at the local art that's happening, specifically in relation to independence, in relation to kind of how the people of Puerto Rico are looking at the devastation that happened and how they're just reacting to it. So once we were there, we actually saw a lot of art that was, you know, targeting that issue. But what we also saw a lot of was devastation. Like the amount of empty houses that you saw, or you know, some of the in San Dulce, right? So
Mm-hmm.
San Dulce is a beautiful, beautiful place. And it's actually called like a crab town, which is like the history of it. And so essentially they were just like a lot of fishermen and stuff. So it has a lot of history. And San Dulce has a part that's called Miramar. And Miramar is essentially where historically a lot of higher income people live. And so you see like a lot of buildings that are taller. They look really, really nice. But when you actually look at them, the windows were blown out. You know, people weren't living there. A lot of the local houses next to the buildings also were empty. Just like a lot of that stuff, you saw a lot of, I wouldn't say like, it's not looting, but it's like a lot of places that were empty that people kind of had their mattresses in, or they had like fridges in, you know, like stuff like that. But the other thing that I did see was a lot of shelters that people created themselves. So essentially the government, when they would kind of abandon a building, the people would inhabit those buildings. And so in a way that's like more of a program. So not just like one or two people or three people, it was like a lot of people, like groups of people were actually living there. And I went to one specifically, and obviously like this isn't in accordance with the government there. So it was just kind of people doing what they needed to do to survive. And basically, you know, you went there was one called El Hormiguero, and essentially they developed their own cistern. They kind of like hooked up water. They had a clinic there. They had an apothecary there. They had karate classes there. And that's just because a lot of people didn't have places to live. And so they were able to get beds. They were able to get the services that they needed in that specific location. So once they stayed there, you know, people were kind of living their normal lives. And that's just because a lot of them felt like, you know, the government wasn't doing anything in response to or to aid those people. So it was just a lot of that. The other thing that I did see that was also very, very, and I would say like I was amazed by all of this, right? Like we would never, here in the United States, like even with everything that's happening now, like things are so hard to kind of even imagine, and we're kind of like in a way relying on the government, right? But when your government doesn't kind of give you those services immediately, right? People just do what they need to do. And so in Puerto Rico, what they did was they created huertos, so like gardens, and people were gardening inside of abandoned buildings, and they would take the dirt, grow their vegetables, grow their fruits. And a lot of the people leading that those gardens, those urban gardens, were young people. So people like millennials who were trying to teach older generations to actually be more independent, because if they didn't have the resources or even the money, you know, to purchase something, then they can kind of grow it themselves and be, you know, more self-reliant.
Yes, absolutely. Someone also asked, what is the best beach you recommend, or rio, river?
So I would say all along the coast of San Juan. So by where I stayed in Ocean Park, it's like it's not necessarily one beach. It's like an entire strip, and you can literally go anywhere. And it's not like private property. It's not like, you go to this specific location that's in front of a hotel and you can't go there. It's just more of like everybody can go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that whole strip, I would say, is something like maybe 5 miles, 10 miles,
Wow.
and you can literally just go and just be at the beach. And it's clean, it's beautiful, the water's crystal clear.
Is it warm?
Yeah, yes, yes, it's warm.
That's my number one question. I'm like, if
Yeah.
it's warm, I like it.
I have a question in regards to that beach. What
Mm-hmm.
is the name of that coast, if you remember? And are there like different things that you can do along the coast? Or is it just like beach hangout?
I can't remember specifically the name of it. I just know that it's like if you Google Ocean Park, it's that entire strip. So even like toward the end of it, there's a hotel called La Playita that I highly recommend, that I've also been to. And so basically when I was there, we kind of would sit at there was a hotel there that we would just go and have drinks at and stuff like that, which was also cool, right? Because you don't have to be a guest at the hotel to kind of sit there and observe. But essentially they had a lot of like, what are those things called? Like when the parasailing, they had a lot of that, a lot of activities like surfing, stuff like that. So it's literally whatever activities you're willing to pay for, that's what's there.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
good. Someone is asking if they have Uber there. I know you had a car, but maybe if you drink and you don't want to drive.
Yeah, so they absolutely have Uber there. I recommend Uber. The local taxis are very, very slow and they're hard to come by.
Okay.
So when I went to Dorado, we actually had to I went to visit a family member with my friends, and we actually went to, it was like an area inside of the mountains. And so we weren't able to get an Uber. So we actually had to call a local cab. But it was really cool. It's just the same as if, like, you hail a cab on the street. Yeah, the very personable people. They just might take a long time because it seems like Puerto Rico is like everything is 5 minutes away from each other, but once you kind of exit the San Juan area, it gets very mountainous. There's just a lot to kind of go through, so it doesn't always take as little time as you would expect.
Mm-hmm. Now, you also said you went to Bayamon. What did you do there?
So in Bayamon, I went to, and this is something that I recommend. I went to a bakery. I can't remember the name of it, but all along Bayamon, and even in the rest of Puerto Rico, like there are a lot of bakeries, and they have local kind of pastries. So one pastry that I recommend is called un tornillito. And it's essentially kind of like almost like a cheese Danish, but it's like, it looks like one of those mini croissants, like filled with cheese. So that's like my ultimate favorite. And then they have, like pastries that have like guava inside of them. They have cakes, they have breads, specifically that are considered like Puerto Rican pastries. So I recommend those. And really, like, any bakery that I had been to there had the same amount of pastries and those specific specialties.
And they're freshly made, I bet.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the best
100%.
part. That smell of fresh. Uh, then you went to Rio Piedra and Rio Grande. What's the difference between them two? Which one did you like the most?
I would say, okay, so they're different in the sense that, like, they're both kind of like like towns, I would say. So Rio Piedras is actually a very like a smaller town. So it has lots of houses. It actually has one of the sites for Puerto Rico's university, UPR, Universidad de Puerto Rico. Rio Piedras is there. So they have kind of like that population, right? Like a younger population. You're more likely to encounter like businesses. Some of the businesses obviously aren't there anymore, but it's kind of like a small town. The reason why I went there was because that's actually where my dad grew up. So I was just there kind of touring, trying to get to know the area more. And I also wanted to see what the University of Puerto Rico actually looked like, given that it's an open campus. And it's just really cool. Like you could just walk on campus and everyone's like super welcoming and it's beautiful. Rio Grande, on the other hand, is also like a town, but it's more picturesque. Like it has, you know, a lot of mountains. Rio Grande is actually located right by El Yunque, which is the national forest, which I absolutely recommend. It's free to go in and it has a lot of hiking trails, a lot of kind of like little rivers, essentially, that, you know, kind of people go swimming in and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. You can also drive through it, which is amazing. It's pretty big, but Rio Grande is in that specific area. So where I went, we actually went to like a villa kind of area. And so there you can, you know, they have available kind of apartments on Airbnb, and basically you go and the beach is there, they have a pool, stuff like that. So there's a lot to do in terms of like exploring with the outdoors, like being in like a park area. Yeah.
All right. Someone is asking, you have any picture of the art? Do you have any pictures of the art? I know you said you went there specifically because of art.
Yeah, I do. So one thing I would like to say before I show you guys some pictures is I went in May. So unfortunately, I was not able to go during this time that I'm about to talk about. But in January, there is a huge, huge festival. It's called San Sebastian. And San Sebastian, yeah, in January. It's usually like more toward the end of January. That's when like the big celebration happens, but all throughout the year, different artists come in and they paint like beautiful murals. But San Sebastian is like really the time when Puerto Rico kind of comes together and they celebrate culture, they celebrate art, food, all that stuff. And it essentially looks like Mardi Gras. It's amazing. I'm hoping to go at some point, but yeah, so I definitely highly recommend if you are into culture. I'm going to see if I can do this screen share now.
You should be able to.
Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, beautiful.
So if you want to see what she's showing, you have to go through Zoom. So the link is on bio. Today is Puerto Rico, so otherwise just listen to her speaking if you're in Instagram Live.
Is this showing?
It's showing, it's scrolling, you scrolling, yes.
Okay, let me see something. Okay, cool. So this is some of the, so this is a place in San Dulce, and essentially when we went there was like a local event happening at a school. So something else that's happening too is that a lot of the schools are being shut down because the government seems to not have any money to pay for the schools. They're obviously public schools, and so there's like a whole big issue kind of, you know, happening with charter schools coming into Puerto Rico and taking over those spaces. So basically the community banded together to turn this empty school into a community center. So what they did was they brought in clinical services, so like nurses and stuff like that. They brought in food, they brought in music. So traditional music in Puerto Rico, among others, is Bomba y Plena. So this is a band that you see here that kind of played that, and it was beautiful. And it was just amazing to see the school and the community, having like that influence, right? And like coming together and being able to really be there for the people.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see if I can show you guys. Okay, yeah. So that's like the school. So I wanted to show you guys that. I don't know if the mural will pop up here. So that's just what it looks like. And that's like one little mural that they put there. Okay.
Oh wow, look at that one.
Yeah, so this one is a local artist who kind of did this. And on the other side, I don't think that I filmed it, but on the other side, there was a mural too. So this is actually by Miramar. So that kind of bridge that you saw there was really the division between the other area, I forgot the name of it, and Miramar.
Miramar is still in Santurce or somewhere else?
It's in Santurce.
Okay.
So that's more of the school. So this is kind of one of the buildings that I was talking about that was devastated, but people are putting their stuff inside of it and kind of utilizing that space. So this is some of the art that you will encounter. A lot of people putting up messages, Puerto Rico, like the people coming together and really, showcasing like the resilience that the people have there. So that's one mural that they have in a building in San Juan. This is not old San Juan. It's right in the same area. It's maybe like a 3-minute drive, but that's one of them. This is also like something else that would be, typically found like on a wall there. This is the I guess like the kind of like shelter that I was talking about, el hormiguero. This is more art. I promise we're gonna get to more art in a minute. So this is a local flower that they have. Okay, yeah, so here's one too. So this is like you'll see stuff like this where it says como maelo a su guaguancó, así te amo yo. So Puerto Rico, obviously, like people being very proud of being Puerto Rican. So this is like an example of another building that was kind of like abandoned, and then people have, taken it over and have drawn a beautiful mural on it, right? So like, the little cat, it's like a picture. It's amazing. This was in Santurce again. This was part of a museum that I went to, and it was just kind of showcasing the culture. Let's see. This is, here's one too. This one's kind of gonna go a little bit fast, but that's typically what you would see.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'll replay it again because it went kind of fast. But the Puerto Rican flag, like just so much, and it's also vibrant, right? Like everything that you think of when you think about the Caribbean, and kind of like, all the colors and stuff like that.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, okay. I'll see if I can pull up more pictures a little bit later on.
It's okay. I think you showed us very beautiful pictures. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. Very, very nice. Now, someone is asking here, did you go to El Cabo Rojo?
I did not. Cabo Rojo is on my list of places to go, but it's more toward the west side of the island. So I just stayed predominantly like the northeast kind of area, central and northeast.
Which one was your favorite area of all of them?
Ooh, I would have to say San Juan.
Mm-hmm.
Just because San Juan shows you the different kind of aspects of Puerto Rico in terms of it showing you like the very small, communities. But it also has Old San Juan, right, which is very historical. It's actually kind of it talks a lot about the local culture. It talks about like the battles that happened, when Spain was trying to take over and all that stuff. You get to visit El Morro, like all of that. And then also within Old San Juan, there are a lot of local places. So like, for instance, there was a museum by a person who has been around for like, I think at that location, he's been around for at least 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like right within Old San Juan, which is like, the most touristy area in Puerto Rico. And then kind of right across the street is like an artisan pizza shop. And it's like, I also actually recommend that. That pizza shop has like pumpkin crust and like
Mm.
just like amazing,
What's the
amazing
name?
pizzas. I actually can't remember the name. It's literally like maybe 15 steps away from the beginning of El Morro.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can't miss it. And it's I think actually the only pizza shop that's like an artisan pizza shop. But yeah, it was amazing.
You're getting me so hungry. Now, is the food cost pricey since it's part of the United States, or is cheaper because it's in Latin America?
It's uh it's the same, if not a little bit more expensive.
Really?
Yeah. So that's actually something that shocked me when I was there. I was also expecting things to be a little bit cheaper. But the thing is that a lot of businesses are not from the local people, right? So you do find the businesses that are local, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of them, it's outsiders coming in. And so when you have things like that, when it's, for instance, like let's say that pizza shop, when it's not somebody who's from the area and it's like a person that's outside of it and it's like a vegan pizza or something like that, it becomes more expensive. So, the times that you go to, unless you go to like an actual local restaurant, it's gonna be the same as like a New York City pizza, like a $5 pizza, as opposed to like a $2 pizza or something like that. So you really have to find the local spots and definitely go and support them. And then you'll kind of see the culture and the prices and stuff behind Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Someone is asking about the mosquitoes. Did you experience mosquitoes or was it fine?
I did experience mosquitoes. It wasn't too bad, I would have to say. It definitely was not too bad. But I mean, I guess because like I actually naturally just don't get bitten that much when I go places. Like it has to be like in the middle of a forest for me to actually really get bitten that much. But in general, yeah, it wasn't that bad. I would say like if you typically go somewhere really like warm and you do get bitten a lot, yeah, definitely take what you need to take to kind of repel them, your repellent. But in general, I didn't get bitten a lot.
That's good. Do you guys have any other questions? Oh, someone is asking, did you visit La Perla?
I didn't. No, we didn't have time to go there, but I do want to go visit. I know that there's a big mural there too. There's like a local artist that he did beautiful work there. So I do want to visit, but I haven't gone.
Going back to Cabo Rojo, Argenis is recommending that you guys go there because it has one of the best beaches in the whole island. It's called Playa Buye. So write it
That's
down
amazing.
for when we go.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I
Argenis.
definitely. Yeah, I definitely will write that down. I actually want to do a 2-week trip. I'm thinking it's gonna be enough time to at least hit the biggest parts of Puerto Rico, but yeah, definitely a 2-week trip. I think you can cover the entire island for the most part. and go to like places like Rincon and Cabo Rojo and Ponce and all of that stuff.
And also Playa Sucia. Josette? Recommended Playa Sucia.
Okay.
Cabo Rojo too. So now we should do a beach tour, going from playa to playa, and then do a Rio too, a river one. That will be a fantastic trip. Hey, I'm signing up. Who wants to go? Yeah, they have waterfalls too, they're saying. Any other questions, guys, that you guys have, or any other activities that you did that you want to share, insight into Puerto Rico? I know you listened to Bombay Plena. Did you dance salsa too? How was the music there?
Yeah. Definitely a lot of salsa. One place I would recommend is La Placita. It's in San Dulce. It's actually a restaurant slash bar, and basically like in the day it's just like a regular restaurant, but at nighttime it turns into like this really, really cool like kind of like club scene, and they have a lot of local music. A lot of local people go there, and it's actually in an area where there are also other bars and really cool places. It's right by the Miramar that I was talking about, and so you'll encounter a lot of good food and music there for sure. And they also play all types of music. So aside from salsa, aside from Bombay Plena, like, you know, they play bachata, reggaeton, all of it.
Nice. Vanessa Mitocaya on Instagram, she's telling us that San Juan is very touristic. So if you want to experience the people and the actual local things, try to stay away from San Juan. Mosquitoes are mostly in the countryside area in El Campo. So if you're going hiking or into waterfalls and rivers, make sure you're using bug repellent. Yeah, and she said she grew up in the NPR in the north side and mid central, and there you can find a lot of nature activities, waterfalls, zip lining, and many more things. So very, very good. Yeah, any other questions that you guys have that you want to share with us?
Culebra Island. I've heard a lot of good things about them, about that area.
Culebra Island, someone else can share with us?
Okay.
I guess we're gonna write it down to do some research.
Yeah.
And check it out.
How was your Airbnb experience? Like, how was the home? And do you recommend Airbnb or hotel or both?
I personally would recommend Airbnb, just because I think you know, the people that are having the Airbnb are local people. So you're kind of like supporting, you know, the people there and stuff like that, versus like a hotel. Unless it's like a smaller hotel. But my Airbnb experience was amazing. You kind of go in, where I stayed, they had like a gate. And so, you know, you couldn't just like walk onto the property. You had to go through the gate. Even after like going through the gated community, and basically like it was big. All the toiletries and everything that you needed was there. Even actually they do have a lot of like the power goes out a lot in Puerto Rico, so you have to make sure to stay in a place that has a generator, because for us, even when the power went out, the gate actually opened, but then it closed again because the generator kicked in. But that's definitely something to keep in mind, because if you're somebody, let's say, that can't take a lot of heat or anything like that, and like the power goes on, there's no generator, you have to be like really mindful of that, because Puerto Rico's climate is really, really hot. It can get sort of like not necessarily cool, but like there's like a balance, right? It's not always hot, and it also does rain a lot, maybe for like 5 minutes at a time sometimes. But yeah, no, definitely an Airbnb, I think is a great opportunity, as opposed to like a hotel. Because, you know, you can go to a hotel at any time, but you don't know who you're kind of like supporting, you know. But I've stayed at hotels there too, and they have great service. It's it's a great experience there too.
Cool, thank you.
Someone said that San Juan is great, but El Campo is amazing, and Flamenco Beach in Culebra Island. That's where you should go. Just remember, you have to take a ferry and be mindful of the schedule of the ferry. You can explore the whole island in one day. So also, Piñones is a must. So if you want to add it to your list of places to go.
Yeah, definitely. I also want to go to Vieques, which is another island right off of the coast of Puerto Rico, and it's beautiful. I think right before you get there is Fajardo, and they have a bioluminescent bay. So essentially, like, you're not supposed to like go in the water or anything, but it's like little plankton, I think it is, and they kind of like illuminate the water. So like as the boats go through, the water just shines. And it's like a really crystal blue. So obviously at nighttime, but yeah, that's definitely on my list.
Yeah, I've seen it in pictures.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's also a plane.
Vieques is the same ferry as Culebra, just different direction. That's good.
Yeah.
That could be like your point, and then you go to each.
Yeah, I think there's also a plane that goes there. I'm scared of flying in general, and I think it's like one of those tiny planes that goes there. So I'm kind of scared, but yeah, I would do the ferry.
Someone said, besides Airbnb, many towns have vacational homes at a reasonable price, and those are excellent for large groups. I can attest to that. My friend was getting married there, and I was looking for properties, and the houses are very reasonably priced and could fit 10, 15 people, so you could go with a group and have a fabulous time.
What resources or websites can you find these vacation homes that are not on Airbnb?
HomeAway, I've used before, and there is another site, but I can't remember from the top of my head. But HomeAway is another one that I use. Also, on Booking.com, you could choose what kind of property you want, and you could put also vacation homes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Luminous Bay, that's the place that I guess you were talking about off of Vieques. You have kayak and raft tours. Not sure if it's still happening. I want to find out what's the name of the ferry stop, so I know. I mean, I'm sure it's very popular. People know. He said, go to Isla de Ratones if you want to try kayaking for first timers. So if you're a first timer, don't venture into the dangerous
rats there. I hate rats. Isla de Ratones.
I don't think they have ratones. I just think it's go like that. Any other questions, guys, that you may have about Puerto Rico? I have a question. Do they mostly speak Spanish or English?
I would say, this is hard because a lot of the people that I spoke to, some of them were like from the universities, or like, you know, the young people that, like I said, like the millennials and stuff that were kind of leading the movements. They speak a lot of English, but the older people that I did speak to, like the business owners and stuff like that, they spoke Spanish. So I feel like it's a mix. I can't necessarily say like most people speak only Spanish or only English. I feel like it's a mix, definitely. One thing I also would add is when I was there, I experienced a rainfall like no other. I was actually scared. It's like Puerto Rico, like, you know, typically they say like, you know, a witch is getting married or something. Like it's like it'll be like super sunny and then it'll start raining, and that sometimes will last for like 5, 10, 15 minutes. But I actually experienced like really, really, really heavy rain while I was over there, and that's something to be mindful of, especially if you're like just touring, and you're driving in the area. Like that's definitely, you have to look out for weather because it can be very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. And when did you say that you went?
In May.
In May. So that's not even hurricane season or anything because it starts about July, August. Okay. So be mindful of the rain. Bring a raincoat and an umbrella. Any other questions, guys? Someone is saying, oh, they speak Spanglish. Yes. Like in the United States too, most people speak Spanish.
Yes, we all do.
I used to be a Spanish teacher, so I had to correct my students all the time. Like, it's not troca,
It's not building,
like, it's el edificio. Hurricane season, end of August and September. Yes. Any other questions about Puerto Rico? Oh, how much was your flight there? Where did you fly from? Where did you find your flight?
So we were looking on Expedia. I paid I think it was $300 to go. I ended up flying JetBlue. I flew from JFK to and from JFK. The airport over there, it's Luis Muñoz Marin. And essentially it's super close to everything too. But essentially it's very small. But yeah, they have everything that you need. The flight was great. The airport service was great too. So it's literally just like a regular airport over there. And I think that obviously like there are cheaper flights. I think it was just like the timing. Like I didn't purchase the flights early enough, so I ended up, having to pay a little bit more. But if you purchase it early enough, it's usually I think around like 200 or something like that.
And did you get your car in the airport, or did you go to the city and then you got your car in the city?
In the airport.
I've seen sometimes it's cheaper to get it in the city. My friend and I, Serena, we went to Seattle. And we were gonna book the car from the airport, and it was triple the price. So we're like, no, we're just gonna take the train for $250 to the center of the city and book the car half a block from our hotel. So it was perfect. Someone said check Google Flights. Definitely. Frontier Airlines usually have cheap prices to Puerto Rico. Oh, that's good. And you can go for like a long weekend too and go to different areas, throughout the year. Catch those cheap flights. Big carry-on team just with a book bag. That sounds like a plan to me. Well, now I'm a little far. I'm in California, but once I get closer to the area, maybe I can go to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I would say, especially if someone is traveling in January, like the prices are gonna go up because of that huge festival. Yeah, but like even if like you go in hurricane season or something, like it's probably gonna be cheaper. It's always gonna have beautiful weather, just like obviously if it's hurricane season, just be very mindful. But yeah, I feel like the most expensive times are like Christmas and then also that January date.
I know, Radaisi, you were going recently and it was canceled.
And you were going for a
festival. What was the festival you were going to? Can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Huh? Radaisi.
I'm so sorry. I was on mute. So it was I forgot the name of the actual carnival, but it was like an Afro carnival that they do it once a year. Last year I think they did it in Portugal, and it was like a 6-day event. It was gonna be in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I had my Airbnb, I had my flight was booked and everything, and they canceled literally like
Afro
Nation Carnival. They canceled it about like 5 days before. They were really trying to like hold on, but the government ended up shutting everything down. So once we got confirmation, and I just canceled my flights and my Airbnb. That was supposed to be last month. I'm so sad.
But we're gonna plan for the future because Kim got us all excited now about going to Puerto Rico. And all of the details that all of you gave us. I took my notes, guys. You think I'm playing? I'm not playing. I took my notes because I'm going to Puerto Rico. Definitely going to Culebra Island, to Manatee Beach, to the Islas Ratones for kayaking. I mean, I've done kayaking before, but I don't know how to swim, so that would be a nice. I would consider myself a first timer, just you know. And I want to see everything. There is a festival of salsa. Someone said. What is
the festival de la salsa?
I've never heard of it, but now that you mention it, I'm gonna look into it because I'm a big salsa dancer too. Salsa
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yes. Okay, any more questions, guys? Well, thank you, Kim, so much for introducing us to Puerto Rico, giving us such many details about it, and
everybody contributed
there to tell us everything we need to know about
Puerto Rico. I cannot wait to go.
And tomorrow we're gonna have another guest, but this guest is gonna present about Dominican Republic, so the sister island. So it's Quisqueya Maravillosa, and her name is Oni. If you want to check her out on Instagram earlier, her handle is Mis Viajes, Mis Destino. She's actually a periodista. How do you say that in I don't know. I forgot the word. She works in like the news and stuff. I used to work in the news and stuff like that. So tomorrow, yeah. Oh, sorry. That's on Thursday. My bad. Sorry. Tomorrow is Josette, and she's gonna present about Portugal. Ready, set, go. Tomorrow is the best of Portugal. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Yes. I forget the days. Today is Tuesday. Okay. So tomorrow, Wednesday at 6 EST, Josette from Instagram, Jojo825 is going to introduce us to Portugal. And on Thursday is going to be Dominican Republic. And on Friday, Mexico. The person presenting actually wrote a book about Mexico, about eating tacos throughout Mexico. So get ready for that. And Saturday, we're going to have Argenis. He lives in Barcelona now, but he travels to Malta, and he's going to talk to us about traveling to Malta. It's an island between Italy and Spain. So get ready for that. And of course, next week we have a whole bunch of people presenting all the way until the end of April. We have
people presenting.
So we're doing this every day. And if you cannot catch us live, check our YouTube channel because we posted all of the episodes there. Okay. Thank you again, Kim. Gracias. And have a lovely day, guys. Adios.
Adios. Have a good night.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.